7 strangest and most terrifying women you won't believe actually exist. Crying diamonds, growing bizarre horns straight from their heads, or rocking nails that are literally meters long. Ever seen anything like that before? Probably not, right? Welcome back to KINH LUP TV, your go-to spot for all things wild and mind-blowing. Now, if you're a fan of X-Men, you're probably familiar with characters born with genetic mutations, giving them weird looks or extraordinary abilities. But guess what? You don't need a Hollywood movie to see the extraordinary. In real life, there are women out there with strange appearances or abilities. Who are these fascinating women? Well, let's dive right in and find out together. 1. The woman who cries diamonds. Just hearing that title, I know some of you are already wishing you had this wild ability, right? But hold up, this isn't exactly as cool as it sounds. There have been actual cases of women who, instead of crying regular tears, shed clear, sparkling crystals that look like tiny bits of glass. Doctors say this is caused by a super rare condition called cystine crystal deposition, where a substance called cystine builds up and forms crystals. One of the most famous cases happened in 1996. A 12-year-old girl from Lebanon, Hasna Mohammed Meselmani, shocked the world when she cried out sharp, crystal-like tears that looked like razor blades. Her story grabbed global attention and left medical experts scratching their heads. According to her family, every time Hasna cried, her tears were so hard they could scratch glass. The crazy part? She didn't feel any pain while crying out these crystals. But Hasna isn't alone. There have been other reports of people crying similar crystal tears around the world. And before you get any big ideas, no, these aren't real diamonds, just glassy crystals. So don't quit your day job. Unfortunately, for most people with this condition, it's not just strange, it's downright painful. Imagine crying out giant hard crystals that hurt like crazy as they come out of your eyes. It's no joke and seriously impacts their lives. And guess what? There are even cases of people crying out stones the size of corn kernels. Oh, and others who cry tears of blood instead of water. Yeah, let that sink in. It's hard to believe how bizarre and terrifying some of these conditions are. They're definitely more of a curse than some kind of magical gift. And speaking of bizarre, up next, let's talk about women who've grown actual horns. Yep, you heard that right. Stay tuned, it's about to get even weirder. 2. Women who grew horns. Hey folks, these days, while iced lemon tea is rare and green tea people, you know who I mean, are everywhere. Some young people seem to be falling truly in love with multiple people at the same time. And the result? Horns sprouting up like mushrooms after the rain. But those are just the invisible kind of horns. What's even crazier is that history and medical science have recorded real cases of people growing actual horns. Yep, these horns might look tough, but they're actually made of keratin, the same stuff as your hair and nails. That's why scientists call it cutaneous horns. It's a type of skin tumor that forms when keratin builds up excessively and pushes through the skin. These horns aren't life-threatening, but let's be honest, they're not exactly the look most people are going for. One of the oldest recorded cases was Mary Davis, who lived in Saughall, Cheshire, England in the 17th century. Mary didn't just have one horn. She had 4 horns growing on her head. Today, one of her horns is on display at the Museum of Jurassic Technology in Culver City, California. Then there's Zhang Ruifang, a grandmother with her own devil horn. She didn't seem bothered by it at all. Talk about embracing your unique style. But the person with the longest horn ever recorded was Madame Dimanche, a Parisian woman in the 19th century. Her horn started growing right in the middle of her forehead at age 76 and kept going until it reached over 10 inches. Eventually, she had it removed, but not before making history. You can even see a wax model of her at the Mutter Museum in Philadelphia. And then, there's Grandma Liang Shuzhen, an 87-year-old woman from Sichuan, China. Her horn, nicknamed the unicorn horn, is one of the largest ever recorded. At 5 inches long, it's so impressive she might as well be crowned Queen of Horns. With that horn, she could probably headbutt anyone who messed with her. But since she's elderly, her family decided not to have it removed. Luckily, she's still in great health. Here's the kicker. Scientists still haven't figured out exactly why this happens. So, what do you think about this bizarre phenomenon? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. And don't go anywhere. Next up, we're diving into the lives of the most prolific moms in history. Stay tuned. 3. The women who gave birth to the most children in the world. If we're talking legends, then Vietnam's mythical mother Oko might just take the crown for giving birth to the most kids ever. 100 eggs, 100 kids in one go. But yeah, we all know that's just a myth. However, in the real world, there are women who've earned the title of human baby factories. Let's dive right in with the current record holder, Mariam Nabatanzi. Yep, she's the ovary overlord, the queen of fertility, and the baby-making machine extraordinaire. Mariam is from Kampala, a country that might be poor in wealth, but is definitely rich in babies, thanks to a high birth rate. Mariam was forced into marriage at just 12 years old, and by 13, she had her first baby. Over her life, she's had 4 sets of twins, 5 sets of triplets, and 5 sets of quadruplets. Doctors say Mariam has a rare genetic condition that causes her to produce an unusually high number of eggs, making her much more likely to have multiple births. And get this, she was told that if she used birth control, her oversized ovaries could become a life-threatening issue. Even after surgery, her condition didn't improve. In 2016, during her 4th set of twins, one of the babies tragically died right after birth. At 38 years old, she's given birth to a total of 44 children. 6 have passed away. And if you're wondering, how does she even afford to raise that many kids? Well, she's also a full-on single mom when raising this massive crew all on her own since her husband walked out and filed for divorce in 2016. She'll take on any job that brings in money to keep her family afloat. And she's super serious about raising her kids to be decent, respectful people. She's a real super mom. Of course, Mariam isn't the only baby legend in history. Valentina Vasilyeva, from 18th century Russia, takes the historical title. Over 40 years, she had 27 births, including 16 sets of twins, 7 sets of triplets, and 4 sets of quadruplets, for a total of 69 children.
Oh my God.
2 didn't make it, but still, 69 kids? That's wild. At the end of the day, kids are a blessing, but let's face it, too few is boring, and too many is a lot. 2 or 3 sounds like the sweet spot, right? So, how many siblings do you have? Let me know in the comments. Next up, we're talking about women who are so tall they could reach the clouds. Don't go anywhere! The tallest women in the world. As of now, the title of the tallest woman in the world belongs to Yao Difen from China. In 2010, Guinness World Records confirmed her height at an incredible 7 feet 7 inches. Sadly, she passed away in 2013 at the age of 40. By the time of her death, her height had reached 7 feet 9 inches, and she weighed 440 pounds, 200 kilograms. Yao grew to this size because of a tumor in her pituitary gland, which caused abnormal growth. Coming in second is Malgorzata Didek, a basketball player from the US, who stood 7 feet 2 inches tall. Unlike Yao, Malgorzata was completely healthy. Her height? Pure genetics. Her dad was just shy of 6 feet 7 inches, while her mom? Only 6 feet 5 inches. No big deal, right? With a height like that, Malgorzata was every opponent's worst nightmare on the court. Next, we have Amazon Eve, born on February 23, 1979, in California, with German and Dutch ancestry. She stands at 6 feet 8 inches and weighs 207 pounds. Growing up, her height often made her a target, with people calling her a monster. But things changed when she appeared on the cover of Australia's Zoo Weekly magazine. Her stunning figure and talent quickly gained worldwide attention. Today, she's recognized as the tallest model in the world. Now, let's leave these towering women behind and meet someone with something incredibly long, but not exactly something you'd want to have. 5. The woman with 24-foot-long fingernails. Nail artists around the world would scream at the sight of Ayanna Williams' nails. This woman from Houston, Texas, smashed the Guinness World Record in 2017 for having the longest fingernails in the world, a staggering 24 feet in total length. Ayana started growing her nails back in 1990, and when they reached 19 feet, it took her 2 bottles of nail polish and nearly 20 hours to paint and decorate them. By the time they hit 24 feet, she needed twice the amount of polish and even more patience. But on April 8, 2021, Ayana decided it was time to say goodbye to her famous nails. Why? Well, some joked that after all these years, she might be ready to become a real domestic queen, since she couldn't exactly wash dishes, do laundry, or sweep the floor with nails like those. Don't worry though, her legendary nails will live on, displayed at a museum in Orlando, Florida. She says she's keeping things chill now, only planning to grow her nails to about 6 inches moving forward. And with that, let's move on to our next wild story. A girl with eyes so freaky, they'll leave you speechless. You're gonna love this one. The woman with the popping eyes. The world knows Kim Kardashian for her legendary curves, but in America, there's another Kim who's famous for something far more shocking: her eyes. Meet Kim Goodman, the woman who can control her eyeballs to pop out of their sockets. No joke. With just a sneeze or a yawn, her eyeballs bulge out a jaw-dropping almost half an inch. Kim Goodman is the Guinness World Record holder for the farthest eye protrusion. In fact, her record is so insane, it's listed as one of the top 10 most remarkable Guinness records of all time. Fun fact, Kim wasn't born with this talent. One day, during an ice hockey game, she suffered a head injury. After recovering, she realized that sneezing or yawning could make her eyeballs pop out. At first, it only happened by accident, but over time, Kim learned how to control it. Now, she can make her eyes bulge whenever she wants. Talk about leveling up a death stare. With her crazy skill, Hollywood directors should totally cast her in a horror movie. As for me, if I woke up at night and saw those eyes staring at me, I'd probably pass out right there. So, let's dive into the story of Kim Goodman, a woman whose talent is so epic, even the loudspeakers would bow down and call her boss. Let's roll. 7. The loudest woman in the world. When we talk about the loudest woman in the world, I immediately think of my mom back in the day, yelling at me to wake up early, or those legendary landlords with their lion's roar, cranking up the volume every time the neighborhood got too noisy, or when rent was due at the end of the month. But none of that compares to today's star, Annalisa Flanagan, a primary school teacher from County Down, Northern Ireland. She was born into an ordinary family, just like yours and mine. No freaky mutant genes, nothing out of the ordinary. Growing up, she became an elementary school teacher, and it was those wild, energetic kids in Northern Ireland who pushed her to unlock a hidden talent she didn't know she had. In 1994, Annalisa made it into the Guinness World Records as the loudest woman in the world. She shouted the word "quiet" during an international shouting contest, hitting a staggering 121.7 decibels, about as loud as a jet engine. For reference, a normal human scream is only around 60 to 80 decibels. Annalisa said she always tries to hold back her screams while teaching, because her voice is loud enough to seriously damage the kids' hearing. Thankfully, no student has gone deaf yet. So, how about you? Who's the loudest person you've ever heard? Have you ever tested how loud you can scream? If you're curious, try it out on your rooftop. No one's gonna say anything, well, maybe. And that's it, my friends. We've just looked at 7 of the weirdest, wildest women in the world. Can you believe they're real? Which one impressed you the most? Let me know in the comments. If you liked this video, don't forget to give KINH LUP TV a like and hit that subscribe button so you'll always be the first to see our newest and coolest content. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care and see you soon.